A pleasant day to everyone, and today we will explore and learn what is the concept of Immanuel Kant's deontology. I am Dela Cruz Rayan, and with me are Ramos Project, Archaga Ayala, Vinarao Sara, Makalalay Jamaica, and Prepenya Mark. To start off this presentation, let's learn who Immanuel Kant is. He is a pivotal figure in modern philosophy. Kant argued that human understanding provides the laws of nature structuring our experiences, and human reason dictates the moral law, forming the basis for belief in God, freedom, and immortality. Kant merged rationalism and empirism, shaping 19th and 20th century philosophy and remaining influential in various fields today. Consequently, science, morality, and religion are consistent and secure, all stemming from human autonomy, which Kant considered nature's ultimate purpose within a unified philosophical system. Now that we know him, let's address a follow-up question you may have. What is deontology?
The name comes from the Greek word deon, meaning duty or obligation. In deontology, the deontic categories are primary, while value determinations are derived from them. One of the unique aspects of Kant's ethics is its emphasis on duties, which are defined by the concepts of right and wrong. The categories of right and wrong, along with others such as obligatory, optional, and supererogatory, are distinct from the value categories of good and bad, as they directly prescribe actions. Kant distinguishes two types of imperatives: hypothetical and categorical imperatives. A hypothetical imperative is a contingent command. It dictates an action that one should take if they wish to achieve a specific goal or outcome. In essence, it is conditional, relying on the individual's desires or objectives. Taken for example, if you want to lose weight, you should exercise and eat healthier foods to achieve your desired body.
A genuinely moral imperative would not be contingent on wants, desires, or needs, and this is what is meant by a categorical imperative. A categorical imperative, instead of taking an if-then form, is an absolute command. A great example of this is do not take illegal drugs, do not steal, do not kill, do your duties, and always tell the truth. Kant processed a singular, ultimate categorical imperative that directs all actions and serves as the foundation for all moral rules. In the groundwork, he introduces three formulations of this imperative. First off, the moral rules are supposed to be universal laws. From this idea, Kant derives his first formulation of the categorical imperative: act only in accordance with that maxim through which you can, at the same time, will that it become a universal law. What Kant means by a maxim is a personal rule or a general principle that underlies a particular action. As rational beings, we don't just act randomly. We devise certain rules that tell us what to do in different circumstances.
Well, a maxim is completed by three pieces: the action, the circumstances under which we do that action, and the purpose behind that action. So, for example, the action, lying to my friend. The circumstances under which we do that action is being asked by my friend if I like her haircut. And lastly, the purpose behind that action is to not hurt her feelings.
The first formulation of categorical imperative tests a maxim's acceptability by asking if it could be universally followed. If yes, it's permissible. If not, it's not. Kant absolutely opposed lying, arguing that universalizing a maxim, allowing it, would destroy the very concept of lie and truth, thus making it impossible to uphold. Therefore, lying is never permissible.
Second, All humans are intrinsically valuable. Things have prices, people have dignity, making them invaluable and deserving of respect, never to be treated as objects. No human equals any amount of money nor to an object, hence should always be respected. Lastly, the kingdom of ends. It envisions a perfect moral community where rational beings are ends in themselves, collectively creating and following universal laws. Kant believes our shared rationality, guided by the categorical imperative, would lead to a universal agreement on these laws, ensuring autonomy within this unified kingdom.
You might be confused with what Kant meant when he said means and ends. So think of it this way. Means something that you use to get what you want. A tool, an instrument. For example, you might use a hammer. A means to build a house, an end. And something that has value in itself, not just because it helps you get something else. A goal, a purpose, and in Kant's view, rational human beings. Another example is means you get a job and to earn money, perhaps to support your education on your daily needs. Every rational person has inherent value due to their capacity for choice and goal setting. Our autonomy requires us to be the creators of our own moral rules. Imposed morals undermine our self-determination.
In conclusion, Kant's distinctive ethical framework centers on duties, defined by right and wrong, prescribing actions rather than simply evaluating them as good or bad. He states that morality, like science, must be rational and based on universal rules. His influential ethics, despite criticisms, centers on the categorical imperatives principles of universality, inherent human value, and the kingdom of ends. Its emphasis on rationality and intuitive moral ideas, or the universal rules such as respect for persons, provides a lasting framework for ethical dilemma. Now, let's put to test the knowledge we gained, shall we? The next part will be a roleplay done by yours truly, De La Cruz, together with Vinarao, Makalalay, Ramos Bridget, Archaga, and Rupenya. We will be acting out based on the scenario where there is an ethical dilemma, whether it is permissible to lie in accordance to protect someone's life or not.
Welcome, everyone. And first off, I'd like to thank you all for showing up for tonight's meeting. So I've gathered each one of you to get your insights about an ethical dilemma that we are currently facing. So imagine this. There is a killer outside the door, demanding to know if the person they intend to hurt is inside. Now we have one task for today, and that is to come to the conclusion whether lying is permissible to protect someone's life. So Ms. Ramos, let's begin with your insights, and also please be guided by Kant's principles. Thank you.
Sir, I just want to state clearly that in accordance with Kant's principle, lying is inherently wrong no matter what the situation is.
Well, with the given situation, are you saying you'd rat out the person whose life is on the line because lying is inherently wrong? Isn't this kind of situation permits lying if it will protect someone's life?
This scenario is deeply troubling on a human level. While we must adhere to ethical principles, I can't help but feel the weight of potentially sentencing someone to death by telling the truth. How does Kant philosophy account for such intense moral conflict?
Well, chairperson, considering our values of protecting the vulnerable, compassion, and integrity, how does telling a known killer the truth serve to protect someone in immediate danger? Can we be compassionate if it leads to a loss of life? Our integrity should prioritize protecting human dignity over strict literal truth in this extreme case.
That is actually a very powerful point, Ms. De La Cruz. It focuses us to consider the hierarchy of our values in such an extreme situation. However, does our commitment to integrity as truthfulness outweigh our commitment to protecting the vulnerable when those two seem to be in direct conflict?
I believe integrity here means prioritizing our ethical purpose. Is it more integral to stick to strict truthfulness, even if it harms someone we're committed to protect? Or does integrity demand we prioritize human well being, even if it means deviating from literal truth?
Kant's framework struggles with exceptions. However, perhaps the maxim we should be universalizing isn't simply always tell the truth, but something more specific to the context, like in interactions with those actively seeking to violate the inherent right to life. Actions taken to protect that life are morally permissible.
A few moments later.
After careful consideration of the arguments presented, it is the consensus of this ethics board that despite the general moral wrongness of lying, Kant's emphasis on human dignity and our organizational values of protecting the vulnerable, compassion, and integrity guide us. In this extreme, life-threatening situation, protecting the innocent takes priority. Therefore, we are ethically obligated to deny the killer's inquiry. This is a specific act to safeguard life, not a general permission to lie. Truthfulness remains our standard. Does this reflect the collective understanding and decision of the board?
Well, while it presents a challenge to a strict interpretation of Kant, I can see the ethical weight of prioritizing the protection of life in this extreme conflict of values.
This aligns with the broader societal understanding of the value of life and the permissibility of actions taken in defense of oneself or others.
Well, yes, this decision reflects our core values in action, prioritizing the safety and well being of the vulnerable in a moment of critical need.
Yes, the community would expect us to choose the path that protects innocent life.
Thank you. This decision upholds the fundamental right that my advocacy is centered on.
Okay then, well I think that will settle it for tonight. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.